Hi, everybody, and welcome to today's Tip of the Week video. This week, I am talking about facilitating social skills for late talking children. My name is Marcy Melzer, and I am an intuitive speech and language pathologist, and I produce these Tip of the Week videos here in my Language Facilitation Resources group on Facebook and also on YouTube. So if you are watching this video, you are certainly welcome, because these are the tips that I provide for parents so that you can dig in and get started doing some language facilitation with your child. And in my Language Facilitation Resources group, there were a few parents who indicated that they are looking for strategies to help their kiddos use more social communication with other kids. So that probably means that you have been working with your child doing some facilitation, or at least they know some words that they may be using for requesting, but their speech continues to be limited enough that they're not really having nice social interactive communication. So what I'm going to do on this video today is provide you with 5 strategies to help you facilitate that process. And I talk about it as a process because all of language learning is a process. It does happen in not the same developmental way for all kids, but it does kind of carry a consistent progression. And one of those levels, you know, sort of kids make progress as they develop language sort of at a level, and then they hit an epiphany and they bump up a level, and then they might go at that level for a little while and bump up again and continue to move, increase like that. And so this communicating with family, you know, mom and dad, starting to use words in their most comfortable situations, it usually comes pretty easy at first, you know, the first kinds. And it can get parents pretty excited about, you know, hey, my kiddo is finally starting to use words. I'm understanding them a lot more, but it still is difficult. My child's still having difficulty making friends or talking to other family members at family parties or at the park or in school, things like that. And it usually comes down to anxiety and lack of confidence, because when you think about it, if your child is using words with you and not with other people in other circumstances, it's because they're just not confident enough in using their language skills. So the first thing I'm going to tell you, even before I get into strategies, is as your child gets better at using natural talking, not talking for requesting, the kind of talking that sort of describes their environment so they can understand and process what's going on around them, that always helps social skills move along. So facilitating natural language is the first major step, which is what hopefully you're doing if you're watching this video. All right, so let's get into the 5 strategies that I have that you can start to use to actually help your child develop some social skills, social language communication. And the first one is practice social skills, like the social skills your child will need, the language for the social skills, the greetings, the closures, the hellos, the highs, the how you doings, the I like that, the oh, that's interesting, all of those little bits of language that help you sort of get someone's attention in a nice way, like, hey, look at this, or look at me, mom. You know, those kinds of little phrases are really good tools for kids to use to get other people's attention and call their attention to what they're doing. Because with late talkers, they typically have their own sort of things they want to do, but and social skills are all about joining together to share experiences. So if your late talker is doing something that they might want someone else to share, then they might use that language, like, hey, come here. And other kids will use that language to potentially invite your late talking child to join them. So the first tip is, at home, use a lot of those attention grabbing words, phrases like, come on, let's go, I like that, That looks cool. Help me with this. Come join me. Use phrases like that in your household so that your child understands that when they hear a phrase like that, that means that someone is inviting them to share an experience. So if all the kids are swinging on the swinging bridge and it all looks cool up there and one kiddo goes, "Hey, Johnny, come on," then Johnny will understand, oh, that means they want me to join them. That means it's safe. That means it's okay to come to that situation. I'm being invited. So teaching those kinds of social phrases as part of your everyday life is my first strategy. All right, second strategy is to discuss the social skills that you see on TV and try to apply them to your everyday life or the life that you observe. So for example, Peppa Pig is really good, Caillou is really good, Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood, all of those sort of feel-good kind of shows that value being kind to each other, helping each other out, working through problems, all of those kinds of those storylines in your kids' favorite shows do exhibit these social skills. It's how kids learn, it's how these shows help to teach kids social skills anyway. So what you can do as a strategy is when you observe these things in the show, when you see someone being very kind, someone inviting someone to play, someone trying to make new friends, and you observe those things on TV, talk about them right in the moment with your late talker. So, and call out exactly what the characters are doing to facilitate that social language. Look, Peppa is holding out her hand to shake hands with her friends. Look, George invited his friend to share his pie, even though he wanted to eat it all himself. Look, Daniel is sad because his friend left him. Those kinds of statements to kind of call again to your child and notice and talk about lets them, number one, understand that these things really happen in real life. Like, look, my mom knows about this stuff that they're talking about on TV. Who knew mom was so smart, right? Because kids learn so much from TV and videos. It's so nice to know that parents relate to those things that they watch. So pay attention to the social skills that you see on TV, in videos, you read in books, and talk about how that applies to a specific circumstance in your house. Oh, you share your, gummies with your brother, or, invite your child to share things that they have. Can I have a drink of your water? Because they're always asking you for stuff. Ask them to share and join in experiences with you, and use some of those phrases like the ones that you see on TV. All right. Tip number 3 for building social skills with late talkers is to pretend play social skills scenarios using characters like teddy bears, towels. You can even role play it yourself if you're like pretending to be characters. So you can say, let's say you are playing with little people. You can act out things like taking turns, my little person jumps, your little person jumps, talking about using those phrases that you practiced before. Come on, come play with me. Okay, let's go play together. Run, 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 run together. Pretend play those things out, sort of like you saw on TV or that you've talked about, or the things that have been challenging, to sort of present and pretend play situations so that your kids have the experience of, if they make a wrong choice while you're playing with, stick figures or teddy bears, it's not going to hurt anybody's feelings. They're not going to say anything. And if your child by mistake says something that might hurt another child's feelings, you can sort of process that as you pretend play that character. So for example, if a child says, you're really slow, like your child's a fast runner, and other kids aren't running around and keeping track, and your child is trying to maybe get that other kiddo to run, but they say something negative that sounds negative because it's the way they go about it, and they like, you're very slow, meaning hurry up and come play with me, right? But sometimes kids mix it up, and that can really mess up a social situation, because what if the other kid gets hurt, their feelings get hurt because your child yelled that circumstance, didn't mean to be mean or aggressive, but that's just kind of how they communicate, and the other child got put off. Those circumstances you can kind of ride out when you pretend play. Like if your child says, come, let's run, and you don't, like you refuse, and then your child, you'll see how you work it out with your kiddos. But the more you have experience with pretend play, now this is going to be a strategy, the pretend play strategy, for kids who are verbal, who are able to say words for what they want, what they see, and what they're doing. And this way, using, again, phrases that are common to these social interaction situations. I don't like that green one. I want the blue one. Or I don't want to share my toys. I mean, these are things that really happen that cause social sort of disruption when kids express their feelings and other kids don't like it. Your kids probably don't like other kids' feelings too. They all want to be first. They all want to be, get the best one or the biggest piece. And working through all of those situations in pretend situations and in everyday life, give your child language for them, and so that they can express what their concern is. Because with language facilitation, whenever a child expresses their feelings, even if it's not verbal, even if it's with behavior, we always honor those feelings and put words with them. So if your child's frustrated or confused or anxious, you really need to give that stuff labels and give your kids words to process through those feelings, because without any way to process them, it looks like behavior, or the kids withdraw and just abandon the situation because they don't know how to behave. Kids don't have social skills with other kids because they don't know how to behave, just like they don't have language because they don't know the words to say. With language facilitation, we teach our kids, just like we teach everything, the behaviors, the methods, the words that we want to hear from them, and that they need to be successful in all of their situations. So if your child is going to the store with you, you're going to teach them vocabulary about going to the store. But if you want your child to make friends with other kids, you have to teach them vocabulary, right? So that they can make friends, the kind of friend-making vocabulary that is common for you, and at a level, of course, that your child can understand. So this pretend play time is when you can model those words in safe situations with toys and siblings and things like that. So that's the tip number 3, is pretend play through the potential scenarios you might experience that could potentially shut your child down and cause them to be more anxious. Work it out ahead so you show them what to do. All right, then the next 2 are actual ways to integrate your child out to the community. So the first 3 tips, really understand this, are things that you need to do at home to give your child the foundational language and understanding and behavior so they can succeed out in the world. Because right now, they're intimidated by the world, and they're not going to be at their best learning to practice the talking that you've been using with them if they're still anxious about it. So prepping out those situations. Sometimes, we used to, in the old days, talk about social stories where, you read books about going to the doctor, or going to, where you watch a child go through a progression. And those are very good ideas for kids who have some limited verbal skills, is to look at stories and TV and things like that that have scenarios that are similar so that your child can relate to them. All right, teaching at home, first 3 strategies. The second 2 are, how are we going to get it with other kids? How can I make my child successful when they are communicating with peers. So the first suggestion I have is start small. Small meaning one-on-one play date. My favorite idea is to have a friend, maybe at school, if you know the mom or the dad, and offer the opportunity for that mom to drop off her kiddo with you. Doesn't matter if it's, hopefully they're kids who know each other at school, somebody that is going to be at a similar level or above your child, because you're going to want to be able to facilitate this interaction together, and you can do that at your house. So ask the mom to drop off her kiddo at your house for a play date that's only 2 hours long, max. So start with a really simple situation, and then in that 2-hour period, see how I did this? You want to structure out your time, because you don't want to have a whole lot of free play time that, that your child is going to be potentially anxious and not able to sort of facilitate language more. So what you want to do is you want to structure out some very basic activities, something with some activity, something that involves food, like a snack time, and then some sort of free play, parallel play opportunity that is pretty short-lived right before the other mom is scheduled to come get the child. And this is how you can be successful, because all the language facilitation strategies, easy, happy, safe, and fun. So you want to make this so easy that it's going to be, your snack needs to be super easy. Something that your kiddo likes, something that they don't really have a choice about, something super fun. Your movement activity can be like something semi-structured, jumping on trampoline, running back and forth in the backyard, riding bikes, swimming in a swimming pool, some kind of physical activity, because late talkers are often really, if there's something physical going on in your body and you're more concentrating on swimming or running or riding a bike, you're not going to be so worried and anxious about, am I using the right words? You're going to be concentrating on that physical activity. So get a friend over, and then while you're doing the physical activity, facilitate all the words for the social parts of it. Your turn to jump. Let's swim together. Let's have a race across the yard. You stay with the kids and facilitate this movement activity with simple directions that they both can solve, facilitating the words that your child needs to use as you observe them wanting to interact with this other child, okay? And then move through once you're done with the physical activity, have a break where you're quiet and have a snack. Talk about the snack. Talk about, do you like it? The social communication about eating together. It gives you maybe 15 minutes or so to do that. And then you might do some other structured play inside, puzzles, or or move into, like, if your child's into trains, playing with the train table. But you don't want to have a lot of choices here. You want to have just a limited thing so that both of the kids have to play, even if they're parallel playing, with the same activity. And you're right there with the activity, facilitating the words that your child needs to do what they do, to communicate things, to ask and share, and all the stuff that makes that activity good. And while you're engaged with this kind of togetherness playing, if your little guy's escaping or they're wanting to do something else, you have to follow his lead and invite that other child to come join you. Or if the other child is going off and doing something, you have to invite your child to come join the other. You have to be the facilitator of this social skill, because your child doesn't know how to have a play date. You have to show them how it works. And sometimes kids don't get along, or sometimes they don't want to do, but you have to be right there the whole time to facilitate through it. And then you're going to have a successful play date. Like I said, max 2 hours. The mom comes to get her friend, your little guy's friend. Then they go off together. Goodbye. Nice to see you. All your greetings when they come, all your goodbyes. I'll see you next time. I hope we can play again. All that kind of stuff. Now, the first one you do, it may not go peaches and cream. You have to do it a few times, but this is a good way for you to help control and anticipate your child if they're having difficulty doing anything. Engaging with with that. And then the fifth strategy that I have to help your child integrate into the community is Mommy and Me classes that have to do with an activity that your child loves. So if it's a movement, if your kiddo's into movement, then do a trampoline class, a soccer class, a dance class. You know, if they're into music, music classes are great. All kinds of Mommy and Me classes where you can be beside your child and help them to participate in the class. So the teacher isn't going to be able to watch all the kids and help them all participate. That's what you're there for as the mom and dad or facilitator. So you sit with your child as the person is directing the class to do things. You're the one right there with your child to remind them, to give them cues, to help them be whatever. And you also are right there observing the other families and kids in the class and talking to your child about what the other people are doing. Gets them out of their bubble and into looking at other people and deciding whether that behavior you see is something you like or not. Oh, look, Joey's kicking the ball. That looks fun. Let's go kick the ball. Or, uh-oh, Johnny's not having a good day. He's having a meltdown or whatever on the floor. He looks sad. So you can talk with your child about the experiences that the other kids are having, and that's going to help them learn words and learn how to process the situation when they are in those situations in the future, right? And so that's 5 tips. The first 3 are for you at home to teach your child about social skills, the language for social skills, what to say in the circumstances, and how to spot them when you see them on TV or see them with other kids. And then carrying them out, training your child one-on-one with them as they go through that experience. If it's a family like birthday party and all the grown-ups are in one room and all the kids are in another room kind of playing together and your little guy doesn't know how to do that, you're going to have to help them facilitate and go through how they engage with the other kids. Kids don't naturally, especially late talkers who are not confident about language, are not going to be really good at, you know, getting those social skills going. So if your child is having difficulty with social skills, if they're not really engaging each other, if they're completely magnetized to you, that they're 100% attached and they won't leave you alone, that means they're not confident enough about their communication and language and interaction skills to be without you. And the most effective language facilitation parents train their kids to be independent by showing them the skills they need to be out in the world and communicate and make friends with new people. After all, that's how we learn, is by experiencing the world together. So these social skills are super, super important for your child. If your child is in a ABA program or a one-on-one kind of training program for behavior modification and they're not getting very many social experiences, then you most definitely need to start doing at least these last 2 strategies to give your child experiences to have social skills with other kids in an environment where you're showing them how to do it. Because when kids are in one-on-one behavior intervention for most of their time, there's no facilitation of social skills, you know, or very little, or they have to be so far along in the way. And you don't want to wait till a child gets language before you facilitate social interaction. You need social interaction to develop language. It all goes together. So that's the tip. And that's why this week's language facilitation tip of the week is all about facilitating social interaction and social language with your late talker. I hope these strategies helped you. If this video was beneficial, please consider liking it. Give me the thumbs up. If you're watching me on YouTube, subscribe to the channel and hit that little wiggly bell so that you get notified every time I upload a new video. And we'll be doing more videos every week, so stay tuned for more strategies to help your late talker learn to use the words they need to share their wisdom with the world. I just want to let you know, too, there are spaces available in my Waves of Communication community. If you are interested in getting the exact strategies you need in a plan and carry those strategies all the way through your whole language facilitation journey through imitation stage, through echolalia, through all the things that you're having difficulty with, getting your child away from using just individual words into phrases, getting those phrases to be functional, developing conversational speech, using social skills like this, even integrating into classroom learning after being in one-on-one intervention. All of those kinds of strategies are available to you in our custom one-on-one coaching situation in Waves of Communication. So thanks again for watching, everybody. I really appreciate your efforts to help your late talker start to use new words and dig in and get a facilitating language, everybody. I will see you all on my next live video.